Welcome to the Sushi Forum, week 108. Each week we look at proposals that are on the Sushi Discourse Forum, on Snapshot, or have already passed the voting process. This is an open community call, so everyone is welcome to join us up on stage anytime. We also have the AMA Text Questions channel available for those who wish to engage via text. As always, joined by our super co-host, Zappuccini. None of this is financial advice. Please do your own research. All right. I don't know if we've got too much for updates here before we dive right into proposals and things. And of course, there is Snapshot that is currently up. Have we got anything here, Zap, for this, for updates?
As far as like new announcements, no, not particularly. Not much has happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Over the last week.
Cool. And so
it's set on Campai right now.
Yes, all set on that. Yeah, sorry I wasn't able to make it last week. That was kind of last minute impromptu there. So I had a little bit. I woke up and it was like already kind of happening here. This is what sucks about being over on the West Coast. But increase Campai Treasury payout ratio to 100%. That of course is up on Snapshot right now, has been up for a couple, what are we at, 3 days now, 2 days now, 3 days. Obviously there's been a lot of discussion around it in both like the chats and the forums, and it's a hot topic right now. So we've currently, there are 7.4 million Sushi Power against, or nay, and 4.8 million in favor, and not too many abstaining from this one. But I don't know if we want to have Jared or anybody else here wants to kind of come up and share a little bit of further thoughts and just kind of like what we're seeing, what's kind of been said here. Like obviously there's a lot of I don't want to call it just a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth on what is or is not best for the protocol. But it's hey, Jared.
Hey, I was on mute.
All good.
Good to have you, even if only temporarily.
Hey.
Back. So Campai's up. We're voting. We've got a couple of, I think, large wallets that have committed to voting. And the discussion, we had a discussion yesterday in the main Discord, in the general channel. And I think if anyone wants to go and spend I'm not sure how long you'll spend, because it's an all day long discussion and debate. Obviously people are everyone has their beliefs as to like what the best way forward for these types of things is. There's a lot of, I think, personal sentiment attached to outcomes, and I think for me I don't have any personal agenda or feelings about Campai, right? I posted this in discussion yesterday. Like, sushi's been a thing for 2+ years, right? So there's been multiple management changeover. There's been drama. One of the former CEOs is in a Bahamian prison now. I mean, Sam Bankman-Fried. There's a lot of there's a colorful history with sushi. And I think that I haven't really ever been part of that, right? So I'm a new set of eyeballs, if you will, on the books, on the business model. And I think, honestly, that serves sushi better than had someone from the community maybe come up, because I don't have any alliances with anyone. I just look at what the protocol is, where it's failing, where it can succeed. And then I look at the business model that it's operated under since its inception as needing an overhaul. And so that's part of that overhaul process, is getting the revenue source which is the only place where sushi makes money, is where it sends to the sushi bar, or what it sends to the sushi bar, right? So when I look at the treasury, I look at the market, I just kind of look at what the health of the project is in correlation to like the greater macro. And I'm kind of a conservative person, so I look at, where can we build a lot of value so that we can weather however long it will take for this bear market to flush all of the leverage out, all of the bad actors, and kind of reset and set us up for the next cycle. And I think there's a couple of things at play there, right? Like there's false expectation that bull cycles and bear cycles follow some kind of definitive cycle, right? Which is not the case. I mean, since 2009 ish, you've been in a macro bull market environment where the Federal Reserve in the United States has continually printed more money, more circulating dollars than ever in the history of the dollar. And so you've had a risk on environment that entire time. And we just kind of had the blow off top, in my opinion, of that cycle with COVID and everything like that, that contributed to that kind of crazy bull market. So I think when I look at what's available for sushi to survive, however long it needs to survive to reap the benefits of the next cycle, I think very conservatively. I look at what's available, almost like a pre-bankruptcy CEO would, right? And say, guys, this is what you have in assets, this is what you have in revenue opportunities, and this is what you need to do to survive. And I think that people who have been in business before or are currently in business have been mostly receptive. I've gotten, I don't know, tens of, probably close to 30 or 40 DMs on Twitter from other project leaders who are like, you're making a hard decision, and like, I wouldn't want to have to be in your shoes, but it makes total sense. And, we wish you luck. And I think that's the general sentiment. Right now the vote is weighed. The last I looked at the metrics, there are a lot of smaller holders that have voted in favor of it, right? And you have like a couple of wallets that, are large holders that have voted against it. And everyone likes to pinpoint how whales dictate the outcome of certain votes. You need to ask yourself, why would a large holder, right, want to continue to receive dividend payouts essentially on their bag that might be down 90% at the expense of the health of the protocol? So I don't know why. I can't speak for those people, but I think that that's a question people should ask themselves when they're talking about whale games in governance, and not always look at the team as trying to hedge their bets with VC bags and stuff like that. This is as fair, I think, as it can be, and the outcome of this vote, it's important, but I don't think that I think that it's important. The funds are needed to make sure that the team can operate it without any kind of serious encumbrance on their performance. We have a hell of a roadmap that's coming. I've dropped some of the information. It's not officially ready to be released yet because I don't want to get front run by competitors by making it super public. Because once I make it official, it'll get in the news cycle. It'll start getting circulated, as well as the tokenomics. So people aren't asking about tokenomics. Ask about tokenomics. It's like that we're working on it. The proofs are pretty much done. David dropped quite a bit of alpha yesterday because we're at a place now where it can be made, more of it can be made public. But once you officially release these things, sushi's a large enough brand that it enters the news cycle, and you have to account for that. So if we set a false expectation or we have to change something after we make it official, that's going to be a poor FUD kind of possible news article, right? I don't want to have that. I want to promote holistic solutions like the tokenomics, like the new roadmap, and start building momentum. And my goal, my personal goal in this role, was to get through all of the contentious stuff by the end of the year so that we start Q1 with just hammering with, positive momentum and build on that going through that next year.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you for breaking a lot of that down here. Yeah, and then just, touching back onto CanPie again here. Right now, obviously, the vote is a little bit, is not a little bit, but, is currently, not in favor of this. Should this be the outcome that, takes place here in a few days, what is there, some other plan, or what kind of maybe a different workaround with this, or a new approach to it? What's kind of the thought process there from, I don't know if anybody else has got ideas around it, or, is there a way where modifications to this could be made, or, other clarity, especially after yesterday's discussion? Is there anything there that can,
I don't think that there's a whole lot of value in changing the percentage. Like people say 50%, 30%, 70%, just playing around with numbers to get to the same goal, which is to diversify and strengthen the treasury. So do you want to do that at the expense of the possible viability of the project, or do you want to secure sushi for the next run and for it to be something that can capture the value of a bull cycle, and scale and become people focus so much on token price and what they're getting. It's like, look, you get nothing if this thing doesn't have a product that scales and have feature parity, which we're working on. Most of this has been in development even prior to my start here. There's a clear roadmap, which will be again made public, and people will see the value. And there's still a couple days left with CanPie's proposal. I wouldn't, call the vote until it's completed. And so I'm still operating under the assumption that there's people that can change their votes. There's people that have yet to vote, and we'll deal with the outcome when it happens. But as of right now, all of the modeling that we focused on has been on a new business model for the decks built on the innovations that had been nearly a year in development with the team that are now being deployed and tested. New tokenomics to realign the value of the most active participants, which again, David gave a lot of alpha yesterday, how that's going to look. And then hopefully CanPie passes. It'll be a temporary solution. Any of the pain from that will be short-lived. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 8 months, maybe it's the full year, because the macro of next year is so bad. We need every penny that we can get to shore up the treasury to stay in operation. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I can't even keep track of the days anymore, but I posted on Twitter the budget snapshot, which I spoke about in my tweet thread on Sunday. I posted that yesterday. And there's a lot of talk about the salaries, and I think, it's a fine concern to have, but I think that a lot of people speak about things that maybe they don't have a lot of experience in, and that protocols who aren't to the size of sushi, that have kind of the brand trust to maintain, don't appreciate the value of paying its personnel a wage that keeps them committed to their role in the organization, right? And so I've seen nothing in the team here that would make me doubt the value that they're being paid. And so I for sure would not introduce a new level of stress into the business, into the org, while we're getting through all of this stuff, by cutting people's pay. That makes no sense. People have targeted my pay. Well, my pay was voted by you guys before I even had the role, right? This was a community governance thing. I didn't dictate my pay. I've seen crazy quotes of 2 million and 5. I think that the narrative gets lost on what is actually being accomplished with CanPie, which is a temporary solution, 12 months or less, or till new tokenomics are fully implemented, right? That could take 4 or 5, 6 months because we need to build new contracts. We got to get it through governance. We got to discuss it. We might put it out in public and our model might break down. So we have to rebuild the model, right? So that time that takes, tokenomics is a major overhaul. It's more drastic than Campi, right? And so if we get it wrong, it's more detrimental than Campi being a fee switch that we turn on for a little bit of time to make sure that the team can operate without worrying about budget. So I'm positive that our models will hold up. If they break down, that will add time to the tokenomics discussion. But David has spent a ton of time on the proofs, and I don't know, maybe he wants to jump up here at some point. But I think I answered your question, Tangle. I had a lot to talk about. I think after yesterday, the discussion kind of went a bunch of tangents.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, let's see how this plays out. There's still a few days left and further discussions, and yeah, let's see what comes of this. But yeah, at the end of the day, the goal here is to continue to be sustainable and try and keep everyone aligned. And like, the thing is, like, Sushi's a very tight team. I will say that. You look at some of these other protocols, and it's like there's 2, 3, 4 times the amount of workforce or contributors, or however we want to look at this. So yeah, it's just important that there are people that can help and contribute towards this. And yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just like things are expensive, at times. And, hopefully there's like other ways of doing this. And like, you're talking about the tokenomics and whatnot, like once that's ready and comes out, that's, that could be super exciting as well. A lot of alpha has been leaked around it, as you mentioned. And, let's see.
And I think one thing that I want to talk to on just quickly, and I say quickly, we all know I'm but I think it's important for the community to have constructive dialogue, right? So what I mean by that is, like, again, I'm new here. I haven't been around for the drama. Yesterday, there's quite a lot of like people have their opinions, they have their experiences. I'm not interested in those experiences where they don't promote the goal of making sushi sustainable and bringing positive change, right? And I think it's important that when we're discussing, and I'm like guilty of it too, because we all get kind of like caught up in the moment sometimes. I'm going to argue this point. Yes, this is very important. And then 20 minutes later, I look at it and go, I really didn't need to waste my time on that. But I think when we're having these community discussions, it's important that it stays proactive. And I feel like a lot of the discussions that occur are just finger pointing about how things could be better without promoting ideas to get to a better outcome. And Funk made a great post on the forum for the Campi proposal. I didn't answer it directly on the forum, but he and I had a long DM conversation. And when I laid out the roadmap to him, and I laid out the tokenomics, and I talked about the interplay, and I talked about why I didn't want to do the options proposal that he had put up, it was very clear to him or her. I'm not sure if it's a guy or girl, or
them is always an easy one. You never have to.
Yes, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think that once that conversation had concluded, Funk was like, that all makes sense. wish you luck. It'll be exciting to see this play out and hopefully become a success. And I trust that person because they've been involved in the Magi tokenomics discussion, a lot of contributions with copy pasta and stuff like that. So I felt comfortable giving them the full breadth of what we're doing. And, my hope is that like with this, and I posted it in feedback and ideas, I think ideas and feedback channel, is this governance overhaul that I want to do for Q1 through Q2 of next year is build out, a custom dashboard on the main sushi.com site where you have all of these transparency items and resources that will allow people to make decisions based more on data than, trust me, bro, kind of stuff. And I will admit that the proposal that I put up, I think, fell short on that data. I was trying to convey like urgency. I think it failed. And so like it's a lesson for me moving forward to write proposals that are more geared towards where I want to take like the governance dashboard, right, which is data driven. You can still manipulate data, right, but it'll be clear why certain proposals and certain like things are being done for the org and for the DAO. And so I think we're going to get to a really good place. I think there's just some of this like the first 90, 120 days of me being on board is like a little bit contentious. There's a lot to clean up too. There's a lot to like fix and clean up, and I didn't expect it to be easy.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's been, as everyone here I'm sure knows, over the past year or even more, it's just been, it's been a tricky time, being in sushi and just with some of the past stuff that's happened and everything. But yeah, that's, coming into this sort of thing, Jared, I'm sure it's been no easy task, but the goal here is to just continue, or like what it seems like for you anyhow, is like how do you keep the ship sailing? So, hopefully we can, continue to keep things rolling and keep moving and sailing away here. But, I don't know if there's other comments here. I'm trying to keep tracking the AMA text questions here as well. Just if there's anything you want to bring up or discuss here.
Well, Mountain Goat started by asking if, so I guess it brings up a good point. What does bankruptcy look like to you, Jared? Like, at what point do we, do we start considering like actually cutting wages and stuff like that? Is that a consideration? Like, how much leeway do you think we have until like we have to really start hitting emergency buttons like that?
Well, I would say that like the model shows if we're able to capture camp high, right? Whether again the total year on the volumes that we sustained like over a 30-day period is about 7 to 7.5 million in value, USDC and ETH that we can capture. My goal is to capture stables and ETH that can be spent without having to deplete the sushi treasury of its native token, because I believe that there are multiples and upside if we get through this period of time that will, if we sell that now at $1, right, you miss out on that upside, and you're essentially selling it what could be like a 30 or 40 or 50 times. I mean, I don't know where sushi's going, but I'm just like being
Right.
hopeful, right? Like say just even previous all-time high, I think it was like 22 something. So like just to say 20x on the current treasury value, which you think is maybe like 10 million or something. I don't even know what it is today. Because I haven't looked at price, but that's quite the upside for a temporary redirect of the fees from the exchange to shore up expenses where we don't have to introduce reducing, the thought of reducing salaries and have people say, you know what, the stress of working in this environment is too much. I'm going elsewhere. Which, to me, that's a real concern. Like, people who are good at their jobs are in high demand. And we've already had incidents of people undergoing like poaching, scouting, and luckily the team is so, in my opinion, they're very transparent with me. And they come to me and they say, hey, this is going on. I'd like to talk about this. And we talk about it. But these are real things that happen. This isn't like fairy tale land where like everybody just expects one of the largest protocols in the space to work for free. And, you don't have the resources to draw in grantees. People aren't actively contributing outside of the core team the way they were in the bull market days. So I think you're in a place with Sushi where you have to do this, or you run the real risk of this project collapsing. Like, no one wants me to say that because I'm the CEO, and then a news article goes out. But that's the reality. And so, like, if you start paying people less because you don't want to lose a less than whatever it is 5% dividend on your holdings, think about what those holdings look like if the team leaves because they have better opportunities elsewhere, right? That's the reality. So I don't want to cut wages. I already gave back $250,000 of the compensation package, again, that the community voted for to give the head chef, because in the first week I looked at the books from just a high level, and I was like, okay, well, this is, I'm not going to need a severance package unless things turn around. And so I should just put this value back in. When I came in, the budget was at like 8.9 million. We've essentially cut that in half. I mean, there was a lot of prior management bloat, not because of prior management, but just because like the market was at a different tier. And so there were more resources needed. There was more product surface. There were more team members. And so we scaled that stuff down to match the team size. So you went from like almost 9 million down to like 5 point, whatever it is, I forget, 3 million. That's a huge cost savings, right? I think we're in a great place if we can capture this bit of revenue, again, with all of the things that are coming, for Sushi to have longevity, to move towards sustainability and scalability. And what does scalability look like? Well, you don't have feature parity at the DEX product level. You've got to get that. Boring talked about that yesterday. I agree completely. We've already started that process, right? We have a multi-prong approach to be able to capture 5% of the AMM market and 5% of the DEX aggregation market. We have less than 1% in each one of those now. That's a 10x on our business. What does 10x on volumes look like? Right? I think we're doing like something, let's say 20 million or 30 million a day. That's 200 to 300 million a day that Sushi can do. Would you rather, as a holder, give up, say, 6 to 12 months worth of fees now to capture a 10x on your allocation, right, on your collateral, and have the upside of that appreciation from a project being successful? I'm not going to talk about token price. I'm just talking about like a 10x on the value of the business, right? That has a trickle down effect. To me, that's highly desirable. That's how I get my vesting to hit the price targets, right? So like, those are my goals, to come in and say, okay, I don't want to dilute current holders because that's a tax on them to subsidize past mistakes. How do we fix that? Okay, we 10x the business. How do we do that? Okay, we have two product verticals that we can capture market share in. Okay, we got a plan for that. How do we allocate revenue and resources on the team side so that the team can operate? Okay, we did that. We fixed the budget. How do we scale? How do we scale up on the tokenomics side so that we can realign value transfer within our ecosystem and our token economy? Okay, we figured that out. We did that. This is all within like 90 days, right? This is huge. Like, everyone at Sushi works every single day, like 12 to 14 hour days, and you're going to ask them to cut budget. Like, to me, that's, you're going to lose people. And so like, I think it's a bad idea. And I think the least bad idea is Campai redirect for a short time, make the treasury operate, in my opinion, you know, close to like delta neutral, if you will, where you don't have to spend sushi tokens, reducing the upside. You capture new value with the new tokenomics and business model, and you got a win-win. You know, you got to make it through this period of time to get to that win-win scenario.
Yeah. And even like, I know we've talked about, you know, the wages and things like that too for contributors. I'm also wondering too, like if it did get to that point of having to, you know, look at other, you know, drawbacks or something, perhaps there's a way to even like do something as like a you know, with potential upside on the other end, right? So then you've got maybe if there's a decrease moving forward, or like at a certain point, but by taking that decrease, there's like potential for, you know, extra sushi on the you know, on the upside with like hitting targets and things like this, where you know, it actually can pay out later in potentially more versus like receiving it up front. And then that way, like there's ways for, you know, to kind of cut back there as well if it got to that point. I haven't really thought that through very much. It's just kind of an idea that came up as we were talking about it. But, you know, yeah, maybe some, as we were you're mentioning funk there and options and all these sorts of things. Maybe there's something there. I don't know if that's always of interest to people, but that could be, you know, something that also helps.
100%, right? So like we fully have to diversify the treasury and make those assets actionable. And so like all of the things I've mentioned now were the were the structural plans to get sushi to a place where it can capture value, maintain value in the treasury, and grow that value, right? So I kind of laid out how we're going to do that. There's a plan, and David is our new CIO, which means Chief Information Officer. You know, he has a strong mathematical background, 2 degrees in game design and software design. He's done this multiple times. We've worked together going on 5 years, and he is tasked with Jiro and other resources, you know, external, Flipside, so on and so forth, with helping to diversify the treasury once we have that value, so that we can begin to leverage that value and almost create like, we recapture the value that was lost from it being fully denominated in the native token in this last cycle when it was at like nearly $500 million or a little bit over at one point. We get back to a place of abundance. We diversify, we make it actionable, we start earning yield on it, and then we can start, you know, creating this governance model where you have grants again. You're able to incentivize people in a way that brings back builders, doesn't push them away, and you supplement the core team. So I agree completely with you. Like all of these things, I think, happen in due time, but you have to go through the hard decision-making process that you find yourself in as a protocol to get back to that place of abundance. Everybody's operating from this place. Oh, we're sushi. Well, that's fine. Yeah, we're sushi, but we don't have the abundance that we had a year ago. No one does. I mean, you have the biggest brands. I said this on one of the last AMA community call. You know, large brands, some of the largest brands, right, unfolding under the weight of this downturn. So let's get lean and mean. Let's position ourselves for the future. And then we get to reap the benefits of that by coming out on the other side, having survived. And you know, everybody loves a bull market, so let's get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know, further questions, comments. Oh yes,
I got to correct something I wrote earlier.
Oh.
I looked at the Sushi House Fund proposal, and it wasn't for Kashi. It was just to go straight back to Treasury.
Yeah, we have, so on the books, right? You have what's in the treasury right now, which is about 9 million sushi, because a portion of those are vested for team streams and other contributors. So you got about 9 million sushi, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but I think I looked at those recently. It was about 9 million. You've got sushi house assets, which, depends on the price of, I think there's a 1.5 million in Dai, maybe a few 100,000 in USDC. I don't remember the balances.
Yeah, it roughly shores out to like 3.8 mil, but yeah, 1.5 million Dai,
Right.
1,228 Ethereum, 33.5 Bitcoin, and then yeah, 41,000 sushi roughly.
Right. And so I'd like to keep the upside of those, legacy assets like Bitcoin and ETH, right? You got stables, I think they should be allocated, or at least earmarked for ops. Um, you've got, uh, oh, I'm forgetting something right now. There was so business development has already closed another 1.5 million in stable deals, or deals worth 1.5 million in stables. And so like you have resources, right? But the goal is to get people say, okay, well then just use that money. Well, that doesn't solve the problem, right? You need to get to a place of abundance so that you can leverage scale, right? This is an economy of scale business. You can't get scale unless you get those other things in place, feature parity at the product level, right? Team scalability, right? You may have to hire new contractors, new freelancers to pick up menial tasks or like low level tasks so that the head engineers can focus on the heavy lifting stuff where their skill set is better spent, right? They're human beings, they're not AI bots. So like their best performance as a developer is going to be in about a 3 to 4 hour window, right? You don't want them working 12 hours on like high computational level tasks, because they're trying to make up for days that they lost on like menial low level things, right? um, so yeah, man, it's a big puzzle piece that's moving in real time, and you have to figure out how best to allocate resources, and you need to figure out where you can capture those. I think we've captured as much as we can. The Merkle tree clawback proposal is going to come up next. That's going to be its own kind of contentious discussion. But there's a lot of value there for the protocol if it's done fairly and transparently. I think you know it can promote a lot of value that it's not at the expense of people, but it's got to be done right.
Mm-hmm. And just wanted to point out too that like over the past, well, I mean, year and a half anyways, that if not longer, there has been all of these, there's been several proposals that have come up, and now we are revisiting CanPi, which was, I mean, this came up, I don't know how many months ago, over a year ago anyways, that CanPi was introduced, and we didn't make any decisions on it as a community at that point, and as a DAO, even Zap putting in the Phantom Troop idea, like there was, sure that was like maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah, when you said selling sushi at $1, that gave me flashbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like,
but yeah,
and even then,
My
like,
bad.
yeah, all good, but like, even at that time, these deals of like, oh, we're having, we had so many different VCs that were interested in, purchasing at $6 and thought, oh, that's a steal, we're giving it away, and that was this point of trying to prevent these types of positions that we're in. And now again, there's another position where sushi is in this position again, and if we continue to say no to all of these things, well, I don't know how it gets better, if that makes sense. So this isn't like a new thing where that's just like coming out of left field. These things have been popping up regularly throughout sushi's, basically more than it's been around in a lot of ways. For like, when was CanPi first brought in? Like, for example, when I was thinking about that was, yeah, it might have been.
What's the date on that?
Let's try and find that here. I think you have the link for Canada, yeah, for this one.
June
June
21.
June 21.
So, like 18 months ago, literally, that's, Yuan Han. I remember bringing Yuan on to talk about all this, and, people were, oh no, this isn't, there's a lot of discussion against this, and this would have been a fantastic time to have, really started to implement that, would have probably put us in a very different position. And then same with, obviously Phantom Troop, that kind of came out of, there was a lot of different things going on at that time, but, we, as a DAO, need to, start making some of these hard decisions, because we can't just keep passing the buck forever, because we end up here. But
yeah, it's you prepare for the worst, you hope for the best,
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of FOMO that you have to counteract in a bull market. People say, well, you're an idiot, because why would you sell sushi at $22 when it's going to $100? I mean, that's you don't plan a business's finance or DAO's financial health on wishful thinking. Like, you should, there's, as a trader, right, or as a value investor, you buy low, you sell high, but you don't always time the bottom perfectly. You never will. And you never will time the top perfectly, because there's too much emotion. Humans are emotional, right? So like, what you have to do is you have to dollar cost average down, which we don't have to do that if you have a token schedule that emits to the treasury. But you do need to figure out what a budget looks like, which I'm not sure if that was done in the past. There needs to be accountability for spending. I'm all for that. I'm going to overhaul governance and budget. And I posted it again, how I plan to do it in the ideas and feedback channel earlier today. And then you have to sell portions of that on the way up, right? So like at $5, you 5x it, sell 5%, right? At $15, sell 10%. At $20, sell 30%, right? So you still have your moon bag, right? If it goes to $100 and you capture all that additional upside for the treasury, but you've also safeguarded against the downside.
Yeah.
So imagine it goes to $20. You've sold all the way up. It goes up to $30, and then the bear market hits. Well, now you have a huge treasury that you can buy back your own asset at distressed pricing at $1, at $2, and you rinse repeat for the next cycle, and you strengthen the treasury over time. If there had been that planning in place, this would be I wouldn't be here, because someone else like me would have already done it. But you'd have a treasury that would probably be close to around $700-800 million. Right.
It's, I mean, that's possible. It's possible. I know, like, we think about like, I think like you said, 500 million. I remember that number. I'm thinking like, this was outrageous. Like, like sushi's set forever. And,
it's that FOMO. It's that FOMO kicking in.
But again, it was all risk on. There was no, plan to, capture and stabilize all of that. But, here we are. Jay-Z.
Hey, yeah, thanks. So I'm relatively new to the community as well, like you, Jared. So I just had a quick question, like, and to be clear, like, looking at the proposal, I'm personally pretty supportive, or at least it seems like it makes sense. And again, like, I don't have the historical baggage or know the full history here. But I just had a quick question on, like, Tangle, you asked. Maybe I missed the answer, but so as it currently stands, and I'm like optimistic that it'll go through. But if it doesn't, like, just maybe you could just talk through like what the process is, like so let's say like it gets rejected. So what does that look like in terms of next steps? And Jared, I think yesterday I was reading the Discord. It said like it'd be more drastic or something. I don't know if you were talking about something else, but yeah, it would just be helpful to understand like what that looks like in that scenario.
There's a scenario where the proposal fails.
Yeah, and just like even just process wise, like what happens, like should we expect like another proposal, and like yeah.
So, we'll deal. I think my official answer to this is like we'll deal with the outcome of the vote when it's final. Um, Again, I think you've got 48 hours ish where a couple of larger holders have yet to vote. You have voters that can change their mind. I have still people DMing me asking me questions, um, and so there's like any voting, right? There's coalition building. There's um, people that are disseminating information that have yet to make their decision. So like just deal with the outcome when it comes. I don't have any immediate plan B because there aren't any other revenue streams for sushi, and all of the assets that are available are already public. Not Campai, Sushi House, Treasury Balance, Merkle Tree assets. Um, so yeah, I mean, we've already cut the budget by nearly 100%. People are screaming about, or not people, but some have mentioned salaries. Again, I've given the argument why I don't think that's a prudent take to like reduce people's salaries. I think if anything, you should be promoting people's salaries that are doing great jobs, and you do that by being financially healthy. Um, and I think if just as a tangent, you look at a lot of the jobs that have been reduced in the marketplace at like Coinbase and elsewhere, right, where they have a strong business model and they're capturing revenue, but it's just decreased because volumes are down and we're in a bear market now. But the personnel that are let go, they're not typically high value jobs, right? They're like menial jobs that scale. They're almost like seasonal jobs, right? Where like you have to scale up like support team members because you're doing 20x the support tickets because the market is pumping, right? So like unfortunately, those are the easiest to cut, and you cut those. But you don't cut high level or like high value personnel like lead engineers and stuff like that who are building your business stack and improving your revenue model. So I think that's a poor way to think about this, but yeah, we'll see what happens with the vote. And then we'll take it from there,
Okay, that's helpful. And then just one quick question. I think like a couple weeks ago or something, there was some talk of like there was like that Binance fund. I mean, I don't really know the details, and I just kind of assumed it was kind of like a long shot. But what if you could add any color there, or if that's even a possibility, or what that is?
The Binance fund, sure. Yeah, I've been talking to the Binance team. It is an FTX relief fund for teams and businesses directly affected by FTX's insolvency and now their bankruptcy proceedings. So Sushi didn't have any assets, treasury assets or operational funds on FTX. So we don't directly qualify for that fund. I've asked their team to consider us given our brand distribution and recognizability in the marketplace and the financial health of the protocol or the business layer on top of the protocol, that we could use a shoring up of funds. And they gave me the form and said, hey, I can fill it out. Let's coordinate. Let's talk. Let's see if you can be eligible. Some of that was pending the final documentation filing for the legal entities for the org. That I think Neil can post in the text questions channel whether or not that's finalized, because I submitted my documentation for that earlier this week or last week, and it should be nearly completed. So then I can fill out the form and have the ongoing discussion with them. But I would say 1-to-1, we do not qualify for that fund, but maybe they'll make an exception.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, JZ. All right. Yeah. Anything further on Campi or anything or related?
Yes, if you voted nay, go vote yay. And if you need help, if you
Oh,
need help
jeez.
changing your vote, DM me.
Oh, geez. Everyone is
I'm
free.
kidding.
For everyone
Vote.
is free and willing and able to vote on their own terms. There is. This is all just a yes.
Obviously kidding. You should vote how you feel the data is best presented and what that data dictates in terms of outcomes, right? And again, this is everything we're taking moving forward. And again, I agree. The proposal could have been presented in a better way with more data. I tried conveying urgency. I don't think it worked. So moving forward, yeah, what we're taking with everything else in the org is a data-driven approach. So that's just how we'll do it moving forward. It'll be, here's the problem, here's the proposed solution, here's the data backing up both parts of the problem or proposal, right? Not everything's a problem. Some things are just opportunities. And we just give it to people and they make their decision based on data. And then we debate data, right?
That's right. Cool. I guess we kind of touched on it here earlier, but like the the clawback, I know that has also been a contentious one, but that's something again that has also been discussed for a long time. And just kind of thoughts on that, or when people can expect that, or if there's been any differences on that, or just kind of any details around it, like when. What would be the kind of time period for people to go and claim, or what kind of thoughts are there?
Yeah, I think in the temp check proposal, right, or the temp check forum post, 90 days was kind of like the consensus that people had reached in the poll. I mean, that's fine. Like I wouldn't push for the community to do anything outside of what it's already kind of agreed on, right? Like the reason I think that there's value in the Merkle tree clawback is that we're approaching full distribution. Yes, the tokenomics do change that a little bit, but the way that we promote liquidity and emissions and we reward participants in the ecosystem changes completely. So the Treasury, the Merkle tree offers the opportunity to reclaim those kind of limited resources that it's going to be contentious. It'll be a debate, and there'll be hardliners that say, because it's in a contract and the immutability of the contract, clawing it back is, not in line with the ethos of decentralization. But, I think there are strong arguments for why that's not the case. And there are, Aave is having the same conversation on their forum and debating this because, like, a lot of these token models, they're just broken, right? They were put in place to bootstrap certain behaviors. Sushi is at a place where, like, it didn't pivot soon enough in its token model to, like, incentivize new correct behaviors. And you're at a place now where you have to make decisions that, like, I think we'd all rather not make. Like, personally, it would be great if there were other opportunities available than these two, the Campi and the Merkle tree. I don't see them. I don't see it, right? None of the other products made any money. You've got one revenue stream. You're giving 90% of it away. You got depleted treasury. You need to build up resources for the bear market. God knows how long it'll continue. And you need to get yourself to product parity and survive. Surviving is worth so much that should be everything that we focus on. It's worth multiples, like literally to the treasury. Survival to the next bull market is worth so many multiples in value that not doing it because we don't want to take short-term pain right now seems a little bit. I don't even know what I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't know what the word is. But I don't know why we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and so just going back to the to the Merkle Tree clawback. What do we have? So there would be. Did we just get an answer here? I thought maybe.
I think there's like 4 million. I don't. Yeah, it's not. It's something I've
Currently bet.
looked at a while. Let's see.
I thought, did somebody have that answer for the?
I think
I'm
it's
trying to run through.
Yeah,
The number of sushi outstanding drops, but still remains. Is it 2.6 mil? Is it that many?
It's no, it's more than that. It's 6.2 million, I think, right? Am I looking at the right contract here?
What are you guys looking for? I'm sorry.
How many?
Oh, okay.
I believe it's 6.2 million, right? Jiro, if you're listening, can you confirm?
Mr. Geeky got it. Crypto Lamer would have gotten it pretty fast.
2.2.
That's right. There's two.
You guys are the best.
Yeah, there's two Merkles. So there's a total of like 8.4 million tokens.
Mhm.
Not all of that will get redirected to the treasury if this were to go through, right? Like there are going to be people that come and redeem and claim that,
Of course.
are just waiting to the last moment.
But even let's say half of that still, like that's still, half of, let's say half of that gets claimed. I mean, that's still pretty, pretty significant. So.
Right. And the goal of that would be to recapture it back to the treasury and hold it, right? We don't want to get it and sell it, right? We want to hold it so that we can, hopefully Campi will pass. We'll be able to have fees that pay for ops budget. We get through 2023. Hopefully it's not a 5-year bear market or anything. Don't want to freak anybody out, but I don't have a crystal ball, so I have no idea how long a bear market could take. But let's say it does kind of go with the same cycle that previous, and it's halving based, Bitcoin halving based. We get on the other side of that. Token price goes up to $10. You've got 4 million sitting in there. Suddenly you've captured $40 million in value. We diversify that by, I don't know what the percentage would be because that's going to be what the diversification committee or team does, right? Let's say you capture half that, you get 10% yield on that. You keep the other half to maybe continue to sell off as you get up to the top or just on the way up to like maybe breaking all-time high. You got another 10 million, right? And then you keep a little bit, maybe it pumps up more and you're able to capture that value. Now you have just from the Merkle tree, right? Rewards. You're able to have value capture for the treasury for it to continue just from the yield that it can generate. Phantom is a great example. Andre. Yeah.
I've been reading that stuff has been impressive. Like they were like Phantom Foundation was in trouble like three years ago or something. Like they were almost wrecked and, got aggressive with like what, how they can actually, shore up the treasury and actually make things, rock solid. And like the Phantom Foundation had like very little amount of, or however it was there. Phantom had like very little amount of FTM. In comparison to others, or like other protocols and things. So yeah, that was actually a very interesting read. I don't know if anybody's got a quick link for that one. That was posted like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks. I'm losing track of time.
Budget blog. I don't know. Let's see if that gets us. An inside peek at being a crypto company. I think this is it, right? Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Anyways, good. Some good reads there. Some good thoughts there. So yeah, here it is. Inside peek at being a crypto company. Yeah. yeah, so it raised a lot, and then it raised 40 million, and then things changed. I think they were down like a lot less. Like they were down to like, I want to say,
Fumes.
yeah, fumes is kind
They
of
were
what
down
it's
to
on.
fumes for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's always like with putting focus and attention into these sorts of things, it can be, there's still ways to turn things around and still make out all right. So, yeah, it's available. It just needs to have the right approach.
And let's take a moment though to note that in February of 2021, February 23rd, they were able to get to a point where they had 81.5 million Phantom, which they sold to Alameda, right, and shored up their budget or their treasury for 35 million. Alameda, I don't know how many more Alamedas we're going to have, considering that they lost $10+ billion and were one of the worst investors in the history of the world. But
and how many and Alameda has, I want to say that there was like a significant amount of sushi, like 5 million X sushi or something that they had at one point, or 5 million. Yeah. Cause I don't know what they've done with any of that, or if they're,
I want to say they have like 3.4 million X sushi.
Or maybe that's,
so there was like 980 something thousand sushi that were on FTX US that when the hack occurred on FTX US during like all of the fallout of the last month was dumped onto the market. I posted about it on Twitter. But yeah, it was instantly absorbed. So like nearly 1 million sushi was sold in the market, got absorbed. So that's not on their books anymore. But what is on the books is whatever Alameda had, which was 3.4 million total like sushi. And, who knows when that would get liquidated, or if we would look, if like,
in 10 years.
FTX's bankruptcy attorneys would reach out to us or what, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's maybe another thought too, like is as, I don't know what that looks like for later on, or how what can happen with those tokens. But yeah, if sushi can be, if the DAO can actually be proactive on that could be beneficial as well, to be able to try and procure those tokens somehow rather than somebody else.
Already in the works.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah,
so there we have it.
Already in the works. So I have to go the attorney route, obviously.
Of course.
Neil and I already started that. I want to say like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens.
Cool. Mad Dog had a cool idea. Is doing the reroute, but then like considering a loan or an IOU to ex sushi holders to be paid back in the future.
Idea if proposal fails, maybe 100% diversion fees to treasury, but this loan could be paid back after new tokens. The problem with the new tokenomics is that it focuses on a reduction of inflation, trying to get to a point where value is more holistic and not dilutive. And so maybe I don't know, that's an interesting thought, and I'd be interested to hear more about how Mad Dog thinks this could work.
Oh, what's going on, Nick? You are.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask. I guess. I mean, we'll find out what happens with Campai when we find out. But it made me think. I mean, it's currently losing, or currently, not passing. I should say, not losing. Was interested in what our next steps for increasing revenue are, assuming Campai proposal does not pass.
And I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit here. Jared's kind of talked about a little bit here already.
Yeah, I may have missed it but I was looking for a few details on that, unless it's just too early to tell.
Yeah, I think that was, well, I don't know, Jared, unless if you want to carry on from that, but
I could touch on it again, just real quick. I did talk, I guess, about maybe 10 minutes about it, but yeah, there aren't any real plan Bs, right, Nick? Because like you have really one revenue stream. We've listed all of the assets that are available to Sushi. Um, and so like Campai is the most clear way for us to harden the treasury and build value there for ops budget. I will say on the side of like the business model of what like the new tokenomics help promote is that there is a clear path for us on the business side of things in 2023 to capture 5x market share, of which we have less than 1% in each vertical that the new DEX stack will operate in, which is DEX aggregation and the traditional AMM side of things, right? We have less than 1% market share. So the goal is with each one of those innovations on the AMM and ag side to help scale business to do 10x, 5% or 5x its exposure or its market share in each one of those verticals. We get to a 10x on the business, which should translate roughly to 10x in volume, which were somewhere between like, let's just say $30 million a day in volume. So you're looking at roughly about $300 million a day in volume. And so the goal of Campai is to get us kind of stopgapped on the financial side of things for as long as it takes to release that and start to scale that.
Yeah. Okay. I did catch those. I guess I didn't associate in my mind that was some of the other ideas for increasing revenue. So I don't want you to have to repeat all that. Thanks, though.
Yeah.
I guess a follow-up, one that I probably should have asked previously when Campai was out, is we chose to go for 100% of the fees on Campai. Would it be more palatable to people if we worked out some other percentage where some of the Campai, some more of the Campai is going to the treasury, but not a full 100%? Is that a possibility? And I don't know. It seems fairly close right now, so I'm just wondering if that's a possibility for a updated proposal.
Yeah, I did talk about this though, or as well. So like, just to touch on it again really fast so I think that 100% of the fees capture the most value of the current volume profiles that we generate, right? Which translates roughly into how many, whatever percentage of fees or denominated value of fees that we're able to get on a daily basis, right? So say the bear market in 2023 is 20% worse than it is now, right? Bitcoin goes down to 12K or 13K or whatever, and altcoins fall another 50%, 30%, 50%, right? Volumes drop by 20 or 30 or 40%. Like I'm just planning for the worst, hoping for the best. So like, if we capture 80% or 60% of volumes today, the future value of those cash flows is at a discount. If we capture 100% of the volumes today, we capture all of the value of those fees now, which means that we capture more value. It's just a rough way of, a way of saying if we do it at 100%, we get more confirmed value back to the treasury than kicking the can down the road, in essence, by reducing the percentage in a new proposal.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the response there. I was personally for it because not reluctantly, I think has been what I've said. It's not something I want to do, but I realize that we're in a position that from the best of my understanding, we're in a position that we need to make hard decisions for survival, and survival it has to be a priority. So that's where I stood on the proposal, even though I don't like it. You know, trying to make decisions as a voter as to what we have to do to survive. Because if we don't survive, then there's no value left. We need to make it through the difficult times in order to provide value back to holders. Is essentially been my view on this. So anyway, I don't think I have another question at the moment. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Of course. And Nick, I agree with you, honestly. Like, personally, I said this earlier in the call, personally, I don't like Campi, but from a business standpoint, like, it's really the only choice I see when I look at the books. I look at the revenue available from the business model that sushi has been historically, that you don't have many options. And so that's why, like, when I presented it on the forum, it was like kind of a do or die proposal, which, people don't, it's an uncomfortable proposition to be told, like, hey, things are so broken that, like, if we don't do this one thing, it could be this kind of drastic outcome. The problem is that I don't see any other route to capture that kind of value as quickly as possible. All of the other things that people have said or suggested, besides what Funk's proposal was, which, would have still taken maybe 60 days to build out the contracts and implement. I haven't seen any other options, because I think once people start to think about it, they go, you know what? There aren't many options. And anyone, I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Go do a Google search and type in, like, Dex AMM business model, right? And there are a myriad of articles that talk about how AMMs, the business model of an AMM isn't sustainable, right? So, like, how do you make that sustainable? I think we've done it with the new product stack coming out, which I'm super excited for. I just want to get over this hump of these difficult decisions and give back value to holders and people who are using, right, the decks. Like, currently, you don't, on the trader side of things, you don't get much from us, right? We want to change that in the new tokenomics. So, like, if you're a swapper, maybe you get a fee discount if you hold a certain amount of sushi, right? Maybe you get rebates, right? All of this stuff factors into the scalability of the new business.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully that answers a lot of questions for people here. And, we've been in it here for an hour and a little over an hour here yet. But yeah, is there, I don't know, further questions, comments, concerns here from community or any other things we want to cover? I'm glad we got to have a good discussion around Campi and just, other thoughts and ideas around all this. But, I don't know, any further thoughts? Captain Geeky here, just hanging out a bunch of things.
I just want to say one thing, Tangle, is, like, I actually really appreciate community involvement, and, like, I think there needs to be more people speaking up, but let's, kind of keep that framework that I was hoping we could do, or that we talked about at the beginning of the call, where we're focused on solutions, less bickering. The bickering just doesn't do anything for anyone. I'm old school, so, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe keep it to yourself. Focus on logic, data, and trying to push the protocol forward. If my idea is a bad idea, it's not going to affect me personally. I will defend my ideas if I think they're sound. And I think people misconstrue that for like attacks or whatever. But it's like, if you want me to accept your idea, you have to present an idea, and we have to, like, in a friendly manner, debate it and present data, and that's how you get to the best outcomes. So I really want to promote that. If you think the Campi is bad, look, we are 100% open to ideas that can replace it.
Yeah.
So
That's the key thing there is just like, hey, if there's better ideas, want to go with the best idea right now. This is there and available as a, potentially best idea. And if you have others, please bring it up. So cool. All right. Nothing further here. Then I don't know, Zap, you got anything else?
No, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody. Likewise. Yeah. I like hearing, from anybody who has anything really to input, that it's always just me, you, and Jared up here. I want to get people engaged as much as possible. So
That's right. Yeah. Get up here.
you know what we
get
should
vocal.
start doing? We should start doing like a Price is Right style and randomly picking people out of the audience. Making them
No.
come up, speak
Come
about
on
stuff.
down to the sushi
Come
is right.
Look, like 3 people immediately left.
Actually, I went to the Price is Right years ago. I actually went to a live recording. Yeah, I did not get selected.
No?
No.
Was it fun at least though?
It was cool. Yeah, it was fun. It was like an all-day affair though. So if you are interested in going, I don't know. I guess I don't know how it is now because this was like over 10 years ago, I think. But yeah, basically it was like a full day thing. Like you get there at 6 a.m. to like get your ticket and do all these things. I don't know. Maybe it's different now, but like we were there very early and we didn't leave till very late because we didn't get until the second recording of the day. And in order to get on, I highly advise that you drink a lot of energy drinks or eat a lot of sugars and then just like run around and be like absolutely outrageous. And, some of the people that I saw getting picked that afterwards, like I remember seeing them like running up and down like all the lines of people being like, wow, Price is Right. Let's go. Woo. So you just want
So
to,
they need hype.
they want,
I'd love to get on the Oprah show and get a free car.
and you
You
get,
get a car. You get a car. You gotta pay taxes. Actually, I think I saw like something happened where she gave like some cars away and like too many people had like couldn't afford the taxes. So she started giving away cars and paying the taxes or something.
Oh, wow.
Like that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. There's some funny things too. Just look into it before if you are ever going to go to these shows, because not only taxes as for Americans, and I think even for myself here as a Canadian, there was like some other forms that I should have filled out ahead of time that would have helped like actually streamline the process. But anyhow, that's next time. That's next time. But cool. All right. Well, of course, this has been recorded and will be uploaded onto the Sushi Official YouTube channel, so you can check it out there afterwards. And if you're on that sushi channel,
my last week's my video editor has been giving me absolute headaches, so I took the jump to Premiere Pro.
Oh.
I will get that on that today. I will get that up today.
Cool. And that's that one's 107, right? Or is this 10, or was that?
Yeah, it's up on Spotify. Like,
Okay.
You can listen to it if you want, but as far as the actual YouTube copy, it's just having issues getting it up.
Okay. Sweet. We'll make that happen soon, TM. So then maybe I'll sync with you here before we do that. Make sure that 107 goes up before 108. And then,
I should be able to like retroactively, like,
move
put it
them
like scheduled behind it.
Oh, perhaps. Yes. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll talk afterwards. And there will be a POAP. It's POAP 107. And that will be kind of the conglomerate of 107 and 108, which we'll be sending out now. So if you head over to POAP claim, or claim POAP rather, you'll be able to go claim your POAP there. So voila. Okay. Make sure you've connected to Guild and all that. But okay. Well, thanks everyone for coming out, and we'll chat with you all very soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.
See you.